Good morning. I am so glad to be here this morning. We are coming up on 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and the show is Who Am I? Who Am I? We're going to spend the morning riffing on my favorite topic. We're going to talk about who am I? What's my biotechnological construction? Who am I in reference to source energy? What is source energy? How can a better understanding of source energy help us as human beings on planet Earth here in the 21st century, both individually, an understanding making our individual lives go smoother, and then collectively having a general understanding of how we function, how we're supposed to be functioning as a species on planet Earth, and why it is that we can't just automatically do it, why our default setting kind of takes us to the negative a lot of the time, which interferes with our ability to be the fluid, efficient, joyful, loving, blessed species upon planet Earth that we really could be if we would lean into who we are and a conscious understanding of it. So that's what we're going to riff about this morning, and we're just getting started. Just to let you know, I'll be on the air probably an hour to an hour and a half, somewhere in there. It all depends on when I feel the spirit. At some point, I know that I will get feedback from the outside world, and I might even have somebody say, "No, don't leave us. Don't leave us. Stay on a little longer." Or I might be involved in a big conversation that somebody wants me to join in on, but that stay with. But other than that, we're going to be talking for about an hour, hour and a half on my favorite subject, which is who am I? We're going to be coming at it from, so I do different things. I know that I am new to the streaming world. I've been doing this as a show for almost a year, and I've been broadcasting it on my YouTube channel since January 10th, I think, was the first day that I came on. The first day I called my show, Who Am I?, was almost a year ago. And I have a little, it started out as a presentation. I wanted to pull together some thoughts that I thought would save humanity. Some things that I believe, my thesis statement to the world is, I believe that every problem experienced by us on the planet today could be solved or at least greatly ameliorated if we would but understand ourselves and know how we work, who our negative self is, what kind of effect our negative self has on the field around us, because we are a field phenomenon. We are not simply our individual selves. We are one with the divine matrix, the quantum field, however you want to call it. There is a energy that is connecting us all together. And if we would understand it, then we could work beautifully and harmoniously on planet Earth to create common abundance. Because we all do better when we all do better, you know? And the answer is not authoritarianism. Although some people in their fear, this is naturally what human beings do, they reach for that solution. Oh, this everybody running around doing their own thing, it's like herding cats, and, there's no order anywhere, and the people are disruptive, and there's riots here and protests there, and, I don't know. And so the people get frightened, and you have an election, and it's like, elect this person, he will be tough on crime. And then elect this person, he's going to fix it. Well, this is us in the throes of coming to understand who we are. And if we would take it as a positive lesson with an expectation that we're going to learn things and it's going to get better, because it is, by the way. It truly is, and it can't help it. The only thing that could stop it, or probably not stop it, I don't think anything can stop it, but could slow it down, is our resistance to the well-being that is trying to get to us at all times. So we are a field phenomenon, and we are connected by a divine matrix, and there is a mathematical understanding of this, a roadmap, if you will, to the technologies of the future that are our birthright, that are our destiny, if you will. I feel like it's my destiny anyway. The personality that I have come to inhabit, I believe, is destined to fly on the planet, the version of planet Earth that makes it. Because apparently there's every version, everything that possibly could happen, did happen, or will happen, or is happening, or is the structure of, because it's all now. Whether it's before or after, it's all right now. So there isn't really any before or after. It's all happening right now. And I see it as kind of, one of the, at least from my perspective. Sometimes I muse about what the whole thing is, but a lot of times I muse about what the whole thing is from my perspective, because that's the one I need to understand. How do I guide my vehicle, fly my starship through this cosmos that we all sort of share? But the fact that I'm doing it from where I am and you're doing it from where you are, and it's so big, it includes every possibility. So it's got more possibilities that I can live in any one life. So there's more versions of Earth than the one I'm going to live that existeth upon the the terrain of the Almighty, or whatever, however you want to say that. There are more versions than I can live, so it's just a question of which one of those infinite possibilities do I choose to live? Who am I? Because apparently the I that I am on this version of Earth is not exactly the same I that chooses to live on a different version of Earth, like the dark one, the one where we all get angry and mean and look outwards and see how that works, playing that all the way to the end. The way I see it is, you remember those books that the teenagers were into them for a while? They were adventure stories that took you, you'd come to a crossroads, and then if you went to the right, then you had to jump to page 75, and if you went to the left, then you just either kept reading or you jumped to a different page. And all of the different options were written out, and you could choose whichever book, whichever way you wanted to do it, and it's all sitting there. And perhaps as we all move, I'm air quoting the word forward, the matrix of opportunity, of the expansion of what all of the possibilities are. I don't know. We live in a really cool world, and if we would focus on what's cool about it, we would understand how to fix what's shitty about it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have a radical message, which is we don't actually have to be on fossil fuels. And it's interesting because, and it's sort of an open secret now, because there's a movie out there. I beat the drum of this movie all the time. It's called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. And what's his name? Greer. Is it Richard Greer? Whatever his last name is, Greer. And he's all over Gaia. He's a specialist in all kinds of things. But he made this movie called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It's talking about over Unity devices. And The question is, what's an over-unity device? An over-unity device is one that puts out more energy than it takes for us to run. And you're like, what? That sounds crazy. That sounds like it's against the laws of physics. The laws of physics says you can't just create energy out of nothing, because there's a set amount of energy and I can't just summon it out of thin air. But the fact is that you aren't summoning out of thin air, because we are coming to understand this thing that some people call it the 0-point energy field. Some people call it the quantum field. I just called it the divine matrix. It's the same. It's an energy field, and has a kind of mathematics to it that is the underlying structure of all reality, including you. And through this structure and through this energy matrix, we are all connected to one another. And so through that understanding, it becomes logical as you start understanding, oh, I understand why I need to pay attention to my frequency now. You know, how like attracts like, and when I get certain negative things activated within myself, it causes me to impulse guide my vehicle towards these negative other things that track the same frequency. And some of them are quite dark. You start getting over into the negative frequencies, there are some monsters out there on those frequencies. There's also some nice people who are just having a bad day, who are brushing skirting the edges of these frequencies. But, you really want to be careful. But also, you do not want to live your life from a cautionary position. So it's just kind of there, cautionary, but don't be cautionary. You got to be abandoned. Throw yourself forwards against the canvas of life with all of the positive abandon that you can summon. Okay, well, that's easier said than done. How do you summon an energy like that? I'll tell you how you do it. You understand your own equipment. You understand how you are designed and the lenses through which you can look at the world and the choices you have about that and the momentum that they carry. You pick a lens, and that lens is going to have a momentum that's going to start reinforcing everything around everything you think as you choose that lens. And what am I talking about? Lenses, positive and negative lenses. So there is the neutral observer just sitting in the center. It's the voice in your head. I need to do laundry today. I need to pick up bananas. Oh, that guy wasn't very nice, was he? It's that seemed judgmental, but in a way, it's sort of just a matter-of-fact voice walking around with you. It's sort of an interface between your physical brain, mind, self, who is a personality, and your cosmic, vibrational, connected to all things, inner being self. It's like an interface, and there's a neutral one right there in the center who's just the voice in your head. But now this voice in your head can be positive or negative too. So they're on either side of your neutral voice, voice in your head self. There is a positive lens on the one side and a negative lens on the other side. And these two lenses, they also can be divided into two selves. One is the male and the female on both sides, positive and negative. This is a new teaching for me. I just learned this one the other day, and so I'm attempting to teach it. Why should I do that on one of my first? Hi. Oh, I see somebody is in the studio. If you're wondering, I have a hardish time keeping my train of thought perfectly while being aware that I'm actually talking to people. Anyway, so I appreciate you being back in the studio, Indigo 1111. I appreciate that. It gives my consciousness focus as I recognize that I'm actually talking to somebody and not just myself. So someday I wish to be talking to the whole world, but it's going to look to me just like this, and somehow the word will just get out and more people will be listening. But I want to still stay in this clean, non-resistant place where I'm just riffing about all of my favorite topics and trying to connect it to my sense of how this is what we're missing. This is what we don't understand. We don't understand how fragile the human psyche is. So we don't really quite understand exactly how our children are developing. We don't really understand that we're all connected. We're all in this together. We aren't separate. On some intellectual place, we might understand that, but how do you get in touch with what that really feels like? And who your true self really is, and what the consequences of acting on your negative emotions are to the rest of the field. I have some pet concepts that I would like to bring out over time. I'm going to be broadcasting. I might try to do this every morning at 6 a.m. Consistency will start bringing in people can start telling each other, hey, there's this chick. Who is this chick anyway? Who am I? You might ask before I get much farther than this. Well, my nom de plume, my handle for this vehicle is Amelie Starchild. I am your host, Amelie Starchild, and I will be with you for the next hour and a half of our journey through the stars as we explore who am I? And why can't we get along on planet Earth? And what is the solution to our problems? And why did we just elect that man? And what's going to happen to us? And all of that sort of thing. But you know, if you come at it from a positive place, no matter what you're talking about, no matter what condition you are facing, you can get a positive effect from it. You can get a positive, what's the word? A positive... We can go to positive places, no matter what you perceive the conditions around you to be. Because first of all, you aren't the conditions. And second of all, as the quantum field, whatever you desire, clearly desire, non-contradictedly desire, you can just move straight for. Now, what am I saying about non-contradicted desire? Of what do I speak, this non-contradicted desire? Well, there are voices within you. There are energies within you that, you know, I really can't look at this. I need somebody else to... So forgive me if I don't chat. If you leave me comments, I will be so pleased to look at them. But I can't really look at the chat because I don't feel like I'm having a conversation in a way. I'm sort of waxing poetic. I am riffing on the stars. I'm going to fly through the cosmos on the wings of pure idea. Skimming only positive notes and stopping only at positive ports. I realize that we live in a world where there's demons everywhere. There are bad players. Yes, there are. But you know what? There really aren't any bad players. There is only one thing, and that thing is God. There isn't anything other than that. It's all one thing. And this one thing that it is plonks on the one hand, but that sounds so... There is an animating force, a desire that's connecting all of us that is animating those plonks. The cool thing about the plonks is that they can be any form, because every form, when you boil it all the way down, is made of these plonks. What's a plonk? What's a Planck oscillator, a vacuum fluctuation? What is it? Well, it's a frequency. And in this density of this universe, it is it's as short as a frequency can get unless you go down to another scale. You have to hit a different scale if you want it to be any smaller. Just like if the universe is a frequency that is as big as it can get, unless you jump to a different scale, and you have to hit a multiverse if you're going to go bigger than that. And if you want to get smaller than the Planck, you got to go to the sub-Planck. It's a different scale. How you get a Planck, you might ask. What is a Planck? The formula for it has to do with you take a photon going at the speed of light, crossing its own diameter. And the diameter of a photon, I promise you, is really, really small to begin with. And then going that distance at the speed of light, you didn't go very far. I mean, it was very quick, and the distance you went was very small. And the little packet of energy mass associated with it, I do have a slide associated with this, the Planck units. These are the Planck units here. The length, the Planck length, the Planck time, the Planck mass. It's what the universe is actually made of, is these Plancks. But, which one is this? Alien? Is it that one? No, no, no. Where was I? I wasn't, yeah, that's where I was. I think that's where I was. Yeah. So, excuse me. You know, I can pause my recording, but I can't pause the live stream and cough. So I'm gonna have to be careful about that, because I call it my morning toad. It would be like a frog in the throat. But I live in the desert, so it's like a desert toad. And normally when I make my YouTube videos, I can just, well, I could pause those, and then the only people that hear me are live. Anyway, who am I? Let's get back to the program, the discussion of source energy and the mathematics around it. The mathematics has been done that would be a roadmap to energy independence and gravity control. But it's actually easier than that, because a lot of people don't realize this, but over-unity devices have already been invented. A bunch of them. More than this guy who does the movie The Lost Century probably even knows about, but he knows about a bunch of them. Personally, the inventors of these things, who went to the patent office innocently and honestly and fearfully to get a patent on their device, and instead of getting a patent, they got it snatched away from them in the name of national security. And, you know, the movie kind of takes it as an outrage, and in a way it is, because if you look at the state of the ecology of the planet, a lot of what you see is being caused by the way we use fossil fuels, the way we burn them, the way we extract them, the way we pipe them across sacred aquifers into refineries on locations that used to be beautiful natural gulfscapes. Refine the shit, then put it on barges, ship it across the oceans, and hope that the thing doesn't sink, and immediately dump 10 million gallons of crude or refined or whatever it is they're shipping into the ocean on top of whales and dolphins and all of that sort of thing. We don't need to be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this. The pipelines of the planet should be carrying water. We do not need to do this to get our energy. And I'm not even pushing back against fossil fuel. In a way, I'm beating the drum of this is a way better energy source. It's cleaner. It's free. We won't even have to worry about a carbon footprint anymore. And in order to adequately and accurately truly plug into it, the prerequisite is that you have to understand the field. And, you have this V8 moment, where, oh, wow, that hurt. Slap the front of your head and say, wow. You can't use source energy without understanding who you are. And so, or at least I don't think you can. Maybe you can. Maybe you can. Just like you can use electricity without understanding it too, right? Well, a century ago, when we had the opportunity to plug into free, clean energy, who would have plugged into it is Hitler. And who would be still, probably him and his ideology might still be going if he could ad infinitum plug into, I don't know. I do know that we need to know ourselves in order to be trusted with free, clean energy everywhere. Because that's what it is. The 0-point energy field is a field of almost unlimited energy everywhere. And the reason it's everywhere and its source is not a fountain over there that you got to go tap into and then somehow summon the lines over here that will connect you to that source. The reason that the source is everywhere is because what it's doing is all the plonks everywhere are they're exchanging their information vibrationally. They are reverberating with one another. They are jiggling together. They are touching each other and exchanging their information by way of an interference pattern, a cosmic, almighty, all-inclusive interference pattern that is passing all the information of all the universe up and down the scales, from the smallest Planck to the largest universe, all the way through every scale: the proton, biology, planets, solar systems, galaxies, clusters, superclusters, all the way out to the universe, and then to the multiverse. It's this scale of information, and it's all of us together. Nobody ahead of anybody else, except it all has to do with spins of influence, because one of the most meaningful ways to understand the whole thing that you're looking at, as well as understanding your individual path and being able to call a clearer one for yourself, is to understand that it is all spinning. Spin is what it all is. Spin is the secret to understanding gravity too, because it is the spin of the field that's causing that curvature that originally was just thought of as the mass is causing the curvature. It's the spin. The spin is causing the mass, and the spin is causing the curvature. Spin is baked into the cake. You cannot have mass without spin. You don't have physical reality without spin somewhere in it. And actually, the whole field is spinning. And the whole field spinning is actually the answer to that the dark energy thing. We got this idea that the dark energy out there is this boogeyman that's gonna get us. What is this dark energy? It must be, something sinister. It's spin. It's the spin of the whole field. We are spinning together. Now you break that down, and it actually there's specific spins, like our planet is spinning. Every proton in our body is actually a little vortex of spinning ether, this ether being Plancks. Every proton is a field of Plancks spinning. And in the field of every proton, in the Planck field of every proton, is reflected the information of all the other protons in all of the universe. There's this holographic thing going on as all of the Plancks are. It's because every instant all these Plancks are mutually exchanging their information amongst each other. and it's transferring up and down data scales, large and small. And you are right in the middle of that. And what's really cosmically important about you is that you own a consciousness that can understand this field, can understand how it works, can understand how it relates, can understand where the energy is, where the wisdom is, where the logic is, where the connection is, where the matrix is. You can see it. As a human consciousness, you can do that. How do you do that? Get your physical brain into alignment with your cosmic, holistic, almighty, connected to everything, universal consciousness brain. That's all you do. You get it into alignment so that you aren't contradicting anything anywhere there. And then everything that you know starts, I can't even begin to tell you my sense of how amazing we would be on this planet if all of us would learn how to do this thing. It's really not as grand as it sounds. Abraham was the one that gave me the key that I never suspected what it was. And that is that your cosmic mind is 100% always in a good mood, in a good humor, in a sense of optimism and positive outlook and positive expectation, and I don't even know how to describe all the positive frequencies that your total self always is, because your total self knows that you've been here forever. You can be whatever you want. It's all made of planks and everything is. There is an aspect of you that can see behind the curtain of the play that you are doing to yourself, just so that you can have experience. But having recognized, having seen through it, you go, oh, but what this means is that truly the equation says that my real self is always positive. And if I want to get in on the wholeness, the connectedness, all of the great ideas, all of the abundance and the healing and the possibility that my greater self knows, the one thing I do is I stay positive. I rest in faith, knowing that I am supported in this positivity by the rest of the universe. And actually, one of the reasons that I'm not tempted to go the other way is because I hear that you are unconditionally, in a way, supported. You will get feedback, echoing back, reflections of whatever it is that you believe, regardless of the conditions first. Because the conditions don't really matter, because the conditions are something the planks can change into depending on the desire of the experience of the being who's living the life. So I just have to ask myself, what life do I want to live? I recognize that there are those out there who could live evil, ugly, angry, disastrous lives on whatever planet configuration, and it's so big and it's so much I couldn't even begin to start crusading against it all. Just can't do it. Crusades don't work. It's a universe of attraction. It is not a universe of assertion. And there are so many more. You can't stop the consciousnesses that want to see the darkness fall. You can't stop them if they are determined. The only thing you can do is follow your own light. And it turns out that every possibility lies in front of you. So you couldn't possibly erase all the possibilities even if you wanted to. So the only logical thing left is asking the question, okay, well then who am I in this field? And what do I want to experience? What do I want to experience? And I'll tell you what I want to experience. I want to experience freedom and security and abundance and joy, relationship, fun, passion, beauty. Did that cover it? There was a lot of things in there. And all of the things that match those spirits. That's what I am on the lookout for. I am consciously looking for those, and whenever I see them, I appreciate them. I appreciate them, and I try to make them more. Whenever I see a furry little four-legged creature with its little nose, and ooh, I'm like, ooh, you're so cute, you're so cute. And whenever I see a sunset that makes my heart leap into, I'm like, oh, there, or just whatever. It's sort of the idea is like Esther, like Abraham's book of positive aspects. It's part of their process of learning to begin to ignite the strings of these positive spirits within you and recognize that you are attracting your individual experience by virtue of the way you are resonating. It's like the tones of the thoughts that you are igniting within yourself. It's like it's a great instrument, an organ or something that is playing the universe. At the same time, the analogy is almost, you are a starship flying through the universe, and you get to decide where to go. And what decides where you go in a general way is whether you are over on the positive lens or whether you have activated a negative lens. And whichever lens you have activated, it carries a kind of momentum that will build. Now, the negative momentum, you can keep banging the drum of it and keep noticing it, and you can make it bigger. You can. Every morning you have an opportunity to start a different momentum. But if you pick up yesterday's grievances and carry them through today, you can every day start getting that your momentum of the negative bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you'd stop doing that, it would peter out at a point. It would play out like a dust devil, It would play out and then it would dissipate without you feeding it more vortexual negative force. It would peter out like a dust devil does. But the positive side, if you get over on the positive lens, since your real self is positive, if you get over there on that side and even get anything started, if you get nothing started, just absolutely refuse to ignite any of those negative ones. If you just kind of find a way to rest in neutrality, and then you actually will find. Now, what I've found is that this Who Am I show actually is a bit of positive action that through time is starting to get bigger, and I'm noticing it just within me. I invite you, if you happen to be listening to my live cast, and I don't know whether Indigo 1111 is a real person or whether it's an AI presence there to encourage us all of us who dare to go live, so that more of us will. I don't know, but what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. I hate that. I was on to something too. I had a point I was going to make about positivity and negativity, and you get on I can go back just a little ways. I know where I was just a minute ago, where when you get on I know where I was. When you get on a positive jag, like find anything, it doesn't have to be very big positive, the tiniest positive thing, and without the negative to pull it up short, that positive actually like a tiny little pebble of a snowball, a snowflake at the top of the hill, and it takes a while, but there's only positive with it. Is somebody chatting? I see a chat come up. I don't know what's really going on. Is there a chat? No, I have an error. Do I have a real listener? I have 2 views. That must mean 2 people. Oh, okay. All right, yay. So where am I? I'm so sorry. I have a hard time. England, Indigo. No wonder you listen later. I mean, because I come on the air really early. And you're 7 hours away from me. And that's how come. Oh, that is so gratifying. I love you. Anyway, let me get back to my train of thought. I have a hard time. I'm leaping great distances. When I speak to an individual on the ground, I'm here in my specific material, conventional self. And then when I get out into the starship and I head for the outer reaches of outer space, sometimes the disconnect between the 2 places, but there is a connection. All of this, it connects to us in humanity in this way. This understanding helps us in our individual lives make better choices, understand who we really are, what we really want. We have a what we really want that's hovering above us and connected to all of us. And what we really want is all of the things that we need. Those are the first things we really want. And then we embellish from there. And a lot of times human beings get kind of tangled up in wanting things that they don't need, like being obsessed with wanting something that is no good for them, that, they are not in touch with their higher selves. And actually, the strange lessons that they seem to be getting, the negativity that they bang around in, is actually, I believe, a lesson in who we are. Everything that we get, all of the harsh toe stubbing, knee scraping, fat lipping lessons that humanity gets, from here till we get it, till we get the answer, is lessons in understanding who am I? And I firmly believe that when we fully understand who we are, we will be better with one another. We will connect to one another. We will move efficiently in our systems, our transportation systems, our communication systems, our economic and energy systems, our transportation, all of these things. We are a single being on this planet, people. We are a single organism, a superorganism. And I would invite you to go watch a movie called Living in the Future's Past. It's narrated by Jeff Bridges, delightful movie. It doesn't really say the whole of everything, but it points out, it helps you perceive us as a superorganism, and to quit kidding ourselves about us being, every one of us bootstrapping it up the line, bootstrapping it in a way, in a field of all of us, with all kinds of mutual systems set up. So, if you want to call that bootstrapping, but I have all kinds of theories about those systems of things that we put into place when they are not in alignment with who we really are and what we really want and how it really works. It creates a kind of tension in the field. That tension being expressed specifically by virtue of the anger, frustration, fear, and all of that of the human beings who are not served by that system that was supposed to serve the human beings. It's sort of like your liver starting to become distressed when it's left out of the supply chain somehow, and it has a function. We all have a function. We're all here for a reason. Every one of us is here for a reason, and every single thing that happens to us is happening for a reason. And if you stay positive while you observe whatever it is that you're observing, even if it's all the woes of humanity, sixth mass extinction, global warming, incessant wars, authoritarian psychosis, the Pacific garbage, whatever that is. I used to call it Garbage Island, but it's called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. That's what it is. All of those things, growing deserts, all of those things, they are real. They face humanity. Yes, they do, and it's a terrible thing. But you know what? We have something that can conquer even that. And that is an understanding of who we are. Well, we don't have that understanding, but the very nature of the Matrix would support us in our solving all of our problems if we would lean into the possibilities as opposed to pushing back against everything we don't like. The resistance to everything we don't like is actually what's stopping us from being able to just have faith, know that we are part of a connected universe, and expect to be able to flow and interact with the field around you. Instead, we spend all this time fearing each other. And, we got PTSD. We got a lot of it from the centuries that we have spent doing this, making war on each other, competing with one another. The fact is, the universe is so accommodating that whatever paradigm we think it is, we try to play it out, we'll get an awful lot of confirmation back that we're right. But unless we are in alignment with who we truly are, it's actually never going to work out right. So even though you can play it as a win-lose paradigm, it's not ever going to actually work out unless you play it the way it really is, which is a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win paradigm. And how do I know that it's a win-win paradigm? Because my inner being is connected to your inner being. And my inner being is calling me to my win, and your inner being is calling you to your win, and they aren't contradicting each other. I promise you they aren't. And so, since that's true, I know there is a way that we can get along. And I don't have to go get into alignment with you. I just need to get into alignment with my inner being. And that will put me into alignment with you if you are in alignment with your inner being. And so that's what we have to teach each other to do. And then each and every one of us can be free to follow wherever our heart leads us. Basically, the action we are doing is connecting our head and our heart to each other. And, there's been a lot of people studying that. I've been listening to an interesting... I think they broadcast live, and then later they broadcast live, and then I pick them up on their YouTube channel, and it's called the Heart. You know what? I shouldn't quote things when I don't remember exactly what they are. Let me go to a different one. How about the Heart Math Institute? The Heart Math Institute in Northern California have been doing it for over 25 years, studying the connection, the profound and meaningful and powerful connection between the heart and the brain. And their studies have led to, understandings along the lines of the Jason Bourne kind of, the understanding of who we really are and how magnificently we can function when our head and our heart are locked into one another. They teach their quick heart-brain coherence to the police, the military, business people. There's all kinds of times when you have, in a moment, in a jangly moment, you need to make a decision and you can't figure it out. You can click your head and your heart together, and you can get when you start learning how to feel the impulse, you can tell the difference between yes and no. You know, you just have to learn how to click the two together and then read the answer. Make your question a yes no question and then feel the answer. There's all kinds of. I refer you to the work of a man named Paul Levy. I call him my friend Paul Levy, but I've never met him. I have read his books and they're interesting. I love collecting interesting beings to pull into my place where everything goes so that I can try to understand my whole world. And he was a particularly interesting one. And his ideas are interesting. He talks about this psychic illness that humans have a tendency to fall victim to called Wetiko. He calls it Wetiko. That's a word that comes from a Native American term. It's related to the word, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Wendigo, which is a mythical monster creature. But the whole idea of the Wetiko was someone whose head and heart were not connected to one another, and the evils that they could commit from that position. And the Native Americans noticed that there was quite a lot of that sort of general condition in the white people that came to America. And they would draw creatures, people who were under that sort of influence, they would draw them with their head and their bodies not connected to one another. The head there'd be a little space between the neck and where the head was, signifying that that person was not connected to, whatever. And human beings have a tendency to fall into Wetiko disease. And why do we do that? Well, I think that it's because we were genetically modified in at least one way. Now, I hear tell that we have alien genes in us, and I don't know where those are, but I think we have the indication of a genetic modification where our neocortex was plumped up a bit. You can see that in human chromosome number 2, which is a fused chromosome. Here, over here at pnas.org, that's the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. In their journal, it was published back in 1991. You see this, October 15th, 1991. I've just put that up as a screen. I have a lot of, as a matter of fact, if you'll come and listen to me tomorrow, I don't know if you're still listening to me because I'm not looking at my chat line right now, but whoever's listening to me right now, tomorrow morning, I will get online at 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time in the U.S., and I will do my full presentation where I start with the origin of mass and nature of gravity paper. I go through I think we're genetically modified. I'll go through our emotional guidance scale, all of that. This is all of my stuff. I'll go through my whole presentation. Whoops. Tomorrow. And I'll start at 6 o'clock. If you're interested, anybody who's listening to me right now, join me. Mountain Standard Time live. I have no idea how to find my live stream. I have only learned how to turn it on from my side of it. I don't know how to find it from your side of it. But if you're already listening to me, then you know how to find me. So find me at 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. It's going to be easier if you're in Europe because, I'm 7 hours earlier than you, and a lot of my neighbors aren't up listening to podcasts like this at 6 o'clock in the morning. But I'll do that. I will do that. I'll be very excited about doing that. I also want to talk about fossil fuel and how this understanding really is going to get us free from fossil fuel, but I don't even want to push back against fossil fuel. It has gotten us to where we are, and we bless it for that. You don't push back against anything. Just know that there are better energy sources out there for us. They have been invented already. These over unity devices that you can just tune in tomorrow, and I will tell you all about it. Over unity, and how that is truly the pathway out of the wilderness for us. But it's going to open up a huge can of worms. This big thing that is going to barrel down the pike at humanity is going to be a huge can of worms. It's going to fix a lot of problems that we've got going on right now, and it's going to open up a whole bunch of new ones. And I'm going to tell you what they are. With free, clean energy and all the technology that we got all over the place right now, not to mention all the guns and, ammo and everything that's going on right now. What's going to happen is you're going to have tribes and pods and cults and things going off into the bushes, and they're going to be able to function without being connected to the rest of the outside group. With free, clean energy and their ability to plug directly into source, they can have their magical orchard, whatever, and they have their little commune around that, and they really don't need the rest of the world. We're going to have to understand this phenomenon. Authoritarian psychosis, the phenomenon of the cult, the phenomenon of the authoritarian dictator, and the phenomenon within us. Who are we? And how do we make this work here on planet Earth? How does that happen? Excuse me, I need to cough. The live stream's still going to hear it. I'll record for I'll go a little past an hour. I'll wind this up. And then tomorrow I'll just start the full presentation. I want to lead you through an understanding of where the mathematical roadmap of all of this understanding is coming from. Why I think we are on the very verge of gravity control and the ability to move around the cosmos quickly, without... I'm going to be able to riff on this quite a bit. The show is Who Am I? The reference is source energy. I want to talk about what I know about source energy and how it is going to free us from the constraints that we have felt on planet Earth. We do not have to push against the things that we do not like in order to make use of this magnificent organizational structure that we find ourselves in. You just have to decide what you want within this organizational structure and then go build it. Don't worry about those around you. Just decide what you want. What do you want to do? Do you want to do you want to open a magnificent eatery? Do you want to found a magnificent orchard or garden or what are the kinds of things you could do? A bed and breakfast? Do you have a really cool idea for some what do you want? Do you want to teach small children how to read? Do you want to teach small children how to begin sculpture? I don't know. I'm spitballing. Do you want to... I'm also being too specific because what I'm actually good at and what I'm going to try to do in the show is pull together a really solid, positive, general foundation. And from that positive, general foundation, you're going to be able to find your own place on that and zoom in on your own blessed specificity. And that's going to be the object of my exercise throughout I just started doing this live, and I'm going to continue to do it. I'm very, very consistent. The only question is going to be what time of day. Um, I'm likely to be right around the 5, 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time every morning. So, depending on where you are in the world listening to me, if you're interested in this topic, I will be pointing you to all kinds of other gurus and teachers that I have pulled my lessons from. Everyone from Bashar, Abraham, Eckhart Tolle, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Gary Zukov, Jesus. I love Jesus, but I don't take him pedantically, or there's no resistance there. He was speaking a message of love, and as the Christ, this Christ spirit, I believe, is rising in the field all around us. And the second coming of Christ is actually this movement of the spirit in the field. It's not a celebrity event. Don't look for the one celebrity who's going to bring it. It's all of us rising in the field and understanding that we are one being. We are all in this together. And our future, the success of our future, lies in the success of each other. We should be rooting for each other, not competing with each other. We should be figuring out how to co-create, how to find a win-win-win-win position. You know, that's look for the win-win position. If you even just keep that sentence in the back of your mind when you are organizing anything and you need others to be cooperative components to your endeavors. If you can imagine the equation as a win-win, I win, you win, and the more that you can pull into your win-win organization, the more successful you're going to be, the more cooperative components you're going to have at your fingertips, the more geniuses you're going to have working with you trying to make your dreams come true. It just makes logical sense. And we're going to talk about this more and more every day. And depending on what kind of feedback I get in the chat room or what kind of oh, you know what? I'm looking here. I've decided to go look at the chats. I haven't seen it. I will check. It's 1:40 here. Okay, so you said that about 20 minutes ago. Indigo, are you still listening to me? I don't know whether you're still here. You may have had to leave. It is a long time. Oh, everything, everywhere, all at once. I've heard of that. And oh, I like the sound of that. That sounds right, doesn't it? That has a resonant feel to it. Okay, I will look up that. Anyway, I'm going to get ready to wind it up for the day. In a way, my live is making my YouTube video sound different. I can tell right now because I'm talking to somebody as I'm doing this. But anyway, I will be back tomorrow. Until then, oh, you know what? I didn't even really look at all this. How many people? I still only have 2 views. That's all right. That's all right. I think I had 2 viewers for 29 minutes. That's really high. That is delightful. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate this. This is adding a dimension to my riffing. I've been riffing on my own for the last year. And I have over 200 videos over on my YouTube channel. Who Am I in the Field? I do not have any idea how to find it. I am hoping to... I'll get better at this, and I'm going to be able to put links to my own stuff, but I'm so tech not savvy. I spend all my time just riffing about the universe, just thinking about stuff and floating around in outer space, and then doing my own little life, I bowl, I'm married, I have children, I'm an empty nester. I'm a baby boomer. I'm all of those sorts of things if you don't know who I am. Um, but in any case, I look forward to a long and fruitful relationship with my listening audience. I really, really appreciate you from whatever platform you come on. And so I'm going to stop for now. Tomorrow, I hope to see you back here at 6 a.m. I better not do it at 5 a.m. then, right? 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we'll see how that works. I may be able to change that to 5 a.m. if it works for me that I need to go earlier. But tomorrow, 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on the dot, I will be on the air and I hope to see you then. Until then, do your best. Be easier on yourself and each other. And as always, may the source be with you.